Is the first thing that's going to go in your Wonderbox a food?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Absolutely. It was the first thing that occurred to me.
And what was that?
Halloumi.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting about this is we've just been chatting about answers some other people have given, and they were quite sort of heartfelt connections to their family, clearly some amazing warm stories about this.
Yeah.
And when I got the email and I read the email from beginning to end, my first thought was halloumi. Mm-hmm. And this is not connected with my family in any way.
Doesn't matter.
I don't have a Greek Cypriot father.
But the whole point of this is what are the things that you love in life? So what is it about halloumi?
It's always a treat. I could eat it every day and it would feel like the first time I'm eating it.
And you're having that over brie, you're having that over goat's cheese?
Oh, every single time. Also, like things like brie and goat's cheese, that they feel quite heavy. They're weighing me down. They feel fattier somehow than halloumi. They feel like a bit decadent.
Yeah.
Whereas halloumi, that's a solid lunch.
And halloumi it's a sturdy cheese. It can take a battering.
Oh my God,
you can do all sorts to that, and you can still serve it.
You know those adverts you get sometimes for like phone cases where it's normally some posh guy throwing a phone in the air. You could do that with halloumi. Yeah, it doesn't need a case.
Yeah, halloumi is the Muhammad Ali of cheeses.
Yeah,
it can absolutely rope a dope and still comes out and wins.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the only cheeses you can stick on the barbecue.
Yeah, and a bit like sort of crispy fried duck. It strikes me as one of those cheeses you can have shit halloumi and good halloumi and it still tastes like halloumi.
Absolutely, it's still bringing what it needs to.
And what is it about that do you have it on its own? Do you have it with other dishes? I
mean, you can. The thing is that we mentioned Nando's. Like, I'll always get the halloumi from Nando's, so that goes very well with a bit of chicken. Can have it by itself. I used to have, when we used to go on holiday when I was a kid, halloumi and chips.
Oh, really?
Oh, fantastic.
Where did you have halloumi and chips?
Cyprus.
Okay.
Very much ground zero for halloumi.
And was that the first time you'd had halloumi?
Yes. Oh man, it blew my mind. I couldn't believe a food could be so squeaky.
How old were you?
I was probably about 6 or 7.
Really?
Oh yeah, you're talking to a kid who grew up like Jay Rayner. Like my childhood, I would just eat anything fancy.
That's so interesting. Yeah. And were your mum and dad kind of culinary?
Well, my mum I grew up with my mum. My mum's a really good cook.
Yeah.
And my dad's a really good cook as well.
Yeah.
So I think it feels genetic, my love of food.
Right. And is it just you?
It's just me with my mum, but then my dad has 2 kids. I've got a half brother and half sister.
Okay. And are they scoffers as well?
My brother definitely is, but I think he's probably less interested in how food's made and the sort of the flavor profiles and all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
this has always been a thing for you. You've always.
Oh yeah. But I mean, there was definitely the years where you probably met me first, where I was just wanting to get stuff into my face.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, when I decided to lose weight and try and think about what I was eating, that's when I really, really got into food.
That's so interesting.
Because I started to think about what I actually liked and why I liked it and how it was made, and making every meal worth it from a quality perspective rather than just pushing calories into my face.
So that's so fascinating. I didn't know that. I just assumed you kind of like, because of the diabetes, lost a load of weight and just what you were running a lot, but you were carefully curating and planning.
Definitely, so because like I just had a realization one day that I would like walk into like the worst looking kebab shop and buy a burger.
Yeah.
And then when I started thinking about what I was eating, I was like, no, you don't enjoy that when you eat that. It's just the feeling of eating something.
Yeah.
And there's amazing burgers you can go and have. So why don't you plan out where you're actually going to go, and you can still have the taste of a burger, but a really good taste, and you can spend hours looking on the internet trying to find out the best burger, reading countless lists.
And it feels like there was a bunch of you, Acaster, I know Phil Wang does that. It was sort of like, there's a group of you that I sort of count as, I don't know if you were kind of like stable mates. But like,
same generation, certainly.
But you'd hear sort of talk of you lot going to kind of Melbourne and finding like the best restaurant, or going to.
Yeah.
I remember our mutual friend Steve Hall doing a gig with you up north. And you went for like a taster menu.
Yeah, we did. That was me, Steve, and Phil Wang, actually.
Yeah. But like before the gig.
Before the gig, yeah. Steve very much drove that. I think that was probably in my early days of really getting into restaurants and stuff. And yeah, we were in the Lake District and we went to Long Clume.
Yes,
which is Simon Rogan's restaurant. It's now got 3 Michelin stars. But
do you think because you lot went?
I think so. I think it's a star for each of us.
Yeah.
And it's the first restaurant on the trip, the Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon show.
Right.
Yeah. So we went there, and I can't stress enough, it was not convenient because we had to get up to the Lake District for noon, which is almost impossible from London.
Yeah.
And then the gig was not, we had to get a cab from the restaurant to the gig. It was like an hour cab or something.
Right.
But it was worth it.
And presumably the gig was awful.
Oh, dreadful. I mean, it was dreadful for many reasons.
Just three tottering men.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Like,
it's at 11 courses.
Yeah, that's right. It was like a big old...
Yeah, it was a proper tasting menu, yeah.
And did you have the wine with it?
No.
No.
Stopped short of that.
Yeah.
Now I'll do a wine pairing.
Here's a vulgar question. You know when you've eaten a multi-varied menu, the next day, that first fart, it's different, isn't it?
I mean, lovely that you think I'm waiting until the next day to do my first fart.
But the point I'm making...
between course 3 and 4.
But once your body's had time to really digest it, that first fart, it's...
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah, but it's all
like
going on.
It's like in Willy Wonka when she has the sweet, the taste of all the different courses.
Yeah.
It's just like that in a guff.
Are there any cheeses you hate that you won't go near?
No. I love all cheeses. Even the terrible, even like the cheese string Dairy triangles.
Really?
I love it. Well, cheese strings are, it's a scientific marvel, isn't it? How have they done that?
That is true. I was never a cheese eater as a kid.
Were you
not? We sort of Edam or Baby Bell would make their way into occasionally, my school lunchbox. That was about it.
Yeah, Baby Bells are great fun for kids, right?
Yeah.
Because, we're eating the cheese and then we're rolling up the wax and throwing it at
Absolutely.
someone. Yeah.
But my wife used to eat Stilton as a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Which I find kind of mind-blowing. You're nodding. And Dan, I mean, you're a cheese freak.
I like a bit of cheese. That's rich, though, for a 6-year-old. Stilton.
But your wedding, Dan, you, instead of asking for gifts, you asked for cheese.
Yeah, not just for me. It was for the cheese.
It wasn't home. You weren't asking for home cheese.
That is absolute bollocks. Like as if we were all shit. Like the cheese was for you.
Everything went out.
Yeah, and everything went up. Not all of it.
To me.
Yeah. A lot of that cheese presumably went home.
It all got eaten.
Did it?
Every last
I take it back.
Not at our wedding, man. The cheese just got brought out too quietly and was just put in the corner. And then no one told me the cheese was there. So it was just sat there and no one really had any. It all came home, sure.
When you got married and it was much delayed?
Yes, so it was delayed 3 times, I think, yeah.
Given that you are now a renowned foodaholic, who decided the menu for the wedding? Was that you and your partner?
Yes. So this is not a funny story, but the original caterer went bust over COVID. So we'd spent ages picking the menu with them and working with them, and they were great. And then obviously COVID ravaged a lot of the hospitality industry. So we found someone new who were fantastic, but it was a bit more of a rush. Like we didn't have time for much of a tasting or anything. But it was fantastic. But we also needed to think about what everyone wanted and not just what Ed wants. That's a direct quote.
Oh, okay. What did Ed want? What is Ed's?
Well, to be honest, I would have been happy with getting some sort of massive Texan guy in the grounds to do some sort of slow cook barbecue stuff,
right?
And then just have people queued up, and yeah.